See, there's a quote that I love, which goes, what can be tracked can be measured. What gets measured gets improved. And I say that when I was in the beginning stage of my marriage, obviously you're in a honeymoon phase, everything's great. But then as time go on, you guys get to learning each other better and better. And also growth happens there. You look at it and say, man, I want a better marriage, right? How can I grow this marriage? What's going on? Why are things getting stagnant? And it's not always a super negative. But again, there's growth. You're growing as a person, she's growing as a person. But the truth is, if you're not tracking anything in your marriage, then you're guessing. And then that comes to a point where you're not leading. You're just letting things unfold and letting things play out. And you don't have control of any of that. So if you don't improve, then what you hope is never going to change, right? You improve things that you measure. And I'm very systematic. I'm a numbers guy. And so out in my professional life, it's easy it was easy for me to track my finances, to track my time every day, right? How I'm moving, and things of that nature. But inside your marriage, you got to create a system as well that you can track and measure. And the thing about measuring things, it brings awareness. What can be tracked can be measured, right? In marriage, that's going to look like, okay, how often are you spending quality time together, right? How often do you initiate that conversation? And it's not about like logistics, but about her. Not just, and not talking about just things going around, just some small talk, but actually about her. Hey, how you doing? What's going on, right? How often do you show appreciation without it being prompt? And this is one thing that I'm looking at, like a lot of marriages. And man, I just got some news about a friend of a friend's situation with their parents, and it's sad, man. But a lot of the marriages don't fall apart from when people quote unquote hate each other. It falls apart, man, when neglect that went unnoticed. That's what I'm starting to see. And just all the scenarios, again, you hear people have putting their personal information on the internet. I'm putting a little bit of mine on the internet, right? You talk to people who has those personal experience that you may know, or they may tell you about a situation that they knew of. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, collectively, most of the things that I'm starting to hear was just some type of neglect in a marriage, right? And that's what triggers it. And somehow that neglect didn't get fixed from anything being tracked in the marriage, right? That quality, like I said, how often are you really spending quality time, or is it just like randomly, like oh when you feel like it? Them real conversations that's being initiated. Again, not about the small talk. How often is that appreciation being shown? And again, I've always said on the men's side, we need to do our job. Stop worried about them. That's another conversation. When you poured everything you poured into the marriage and it's just not being reciprocated, then that's a different conversation. But just worry about your part first. You showing up 100% from your side and pouring in. That's what you need to worry about right now, right? Just tracking to bring awareness, and that's what you can measure on how much you really pouring into this marriage. The thing about measurement as well is it removes that self deception, right? A lot of men feel like they're doing enough, but I would say that feeling sometimes a lie, man. Again, it's almost like it was funny when I used to work in finance, right? A lot of people, they never track their money. And so they would have this imaginary figure in their head, like, oh, I think I have enough. But when they put it down on paper, they didn't have enough money. And see, that's the thing about tracking. When it's in black and white, it doesn't lie to you. It doesn't create the feelings are taken out of it, right? There's no deception in it. There's straight facts. And so this is why, like a lot of men, they they feel like they're hitting the target, but they're missing, right? You're not tracking when you're doing date nights, right? You're not tracking like how often you checking in on your wife. You're not tracking like different acts of service, right? And this is something I had to learn. And I'll give you an example, right? Like washing my wife's car. I put it in my head to at least attempt to do that once a month. You know what I'm saying? Checking her oil and gas. Like she never had to put gas in her car again. Yo, listen, I'm at the gas station and it's cold outside. I see single women putting gas in their car crazy. I've seen married women putting gas in their car. Why? Y'all got husbands. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't want to see my wife at the gas pump and it's 30 degrees and she having to hurry up, get in it and out the car, put the gas tank handle in her car, jump back in the car just to stay warm. Like, what is that? This is the type of stuff I'm trying to put y'all on game with. Like, yo, if you have a wife or you have a girl that you're real serious about, and again, they should never have to pump gas ever again. They shouldn't. They should be able to get in their car and go. And again, that mean you have to always spend your money to fill their tank up, right? But they shouldn't have to go to the gas station to be able to get gas. That's just where I'm at now. But that's again, those acts of service that you're tracking. Those are different things you put into place. That's how you need to be thinking and how you need to be moving, right? And when you start to do that, though, you'll quickly see the effort matched, right? Because the thing about it is, when you start to again become aware and start to measure those things, don't look at it like, man, it's shameful or something like that because you're putting in a lot of effort. It's just gonna tell the truth because it's gonna tell you, can this person match that effort? Are they even willing? That's gonna really show you. And again, this is for people who, even before y'all get married, it'll show you if that person real serious. And that'll let you know a lot even before you say I do, right? It's the intentionality behind it, right? Strong marriages are very intentional, not always emotional, man, but they're very intentional, right? It's intentional in the sense of like you track finances to avoid debt. You track calories to lose weight. You track reps to build muscle, right? Everything you got to do in your marriage is intentional, right? You tracking your date nights on how often you doing it. I always tell guys, I can't wait to start coaching, man, that's an easy thing. That could be 12 date nights a year, once a month. Some people do it every week. I don't recommend it. I mean, if you really got it, but if you're on your purpose, you're not going to be doing it every week. At least once a month. If you have kids, if you got family that's involved and stuff like that, but at least once a month, I think is sufficient. And then, you got your anniversary, you got birthdays and stuff on top of that, right? Those things can be added. But as far as you putting in work, you should at least be doing date night once a month, at least. I think that's, if you can do twice, cool. If you can do 3-4 times, cool. But at least bare minimum, you need to be doing at least once a month. That shows intentionality, right? That shows that you're paying attention. That shows that measurement that you're tracking. And that just keep things fresh. So when again, what can be tracked can be measured. What can be measured can be improved. So when you measure things, you stop drifting, man. You stop assuming and you start leading, right? And you will see over time that those improvements that you measured and tracked, those improvements become inevitable. And so that's one thing I just want to share with you guys today, man. Again, you have to track what you're doing. You have to be intentional when you're leading in your marriage because that gives structure. The thing about women is they're very, very detail oriented. We as men are big picture, but they like to read the fine print. They like to see the details. And so when you have a system in place for your life, when you have a system in place for your marriage, then it's easy for them to fall in line because they don't feel like they're drifting. See, the thing about it is, women are very emotional. And when there's chaos around, when there's no tracking, when there's no leadership, it becomes chaos, man. and their emotions run wild, you have to put those emotions in check. Listen, you can't control them always, right? But if you have a system and things on their end is out of line because emotions, you always have a system to fall back on, right? It's just like it's like a three leg, it's like a four-legged stool or something like that. If one of the legs get broken, at least the other three can hold it up. And that's the same thing with your marriage. When you have the pillars in place, even if one kind of get distorted or something happen, you always have the other three pillars to hold it up. But you have to put those systems in place. You have to track to see what's going on. You have to measure it so you can improve it. So stop drifting, stop assuming things, take your feelings out of it, and you have to start tracking things in your marriage. Again, start with yourself, man. Start with your finances, right? See what the hell going on with your money. Then, look at your time. How are you moving throughout the day? Start from when you wake up until you go to sleep. Look at it hour by hour. How are you moving? Right? And then once you figure out what you have going on, even your health, don't forget about your health too. See what's going on with your health. A lot of men are out of shape. Figure out, look at, man, how am I eating every day? Right? Obviously, if I'm overweight, what I'm eating, how I'm measuring my eating isn't helping me. I need to figure that out. Right? I need to implement the gym. We need all three. How am I tracking my spiritual life? Am I praying every day? Do I go to church? Am I in the Bible? Am I doing something to help my spirituality? All this stuff. I know it sounds like a lot, but as a man, you have to be able to implement these systems because this is what's going to put pillars in your own personal life. This is what's going to hold you up and you can start leading in your marriage. So again, like I said, from there, once you get those things in place, then you'll start to see things align really strongly in your marriage. But again, what can be tracked can be measured. What gets measured can be improved. So if your marriage isn't improving, don't panic. Just start tracking, man. And again, because when you start tracking, then you can measure. And then that's when that leadership creates that awareness. And then discipline and all that, kicks in and keep everything moving. So I appreciate y'all listening to the message. If you got any value today, hit that like button. If it's your first time watching, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll share this video out if anybody else needs to hear this message as well. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys. Much love. Peace.